The war in Ukraine has not just impacted the global supply chain, but also the wheels of geopolitics. The West has come together against Russia, and Russia has reached out for stronger ties with China. Now, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says the war has had a profound impact on Asia as well. Blinken's comments come after Chinese President Xi Jinping's state visit to Russia, where the two leaders discuss ways to boost strategic ties. Blinken says China is watching very carefully how U.S. and its allies respond to Russia's Ukraine war. Experts have long argued on the impact of the Ukraine war on China's military vis-à-vis Taiwan. According to Blinken, China will draw lessons from how the world comes together or doesn't to stand up against this type of aggression. Earlier, Blinken agreed with CIA's assessment, which says that China will gather required ability to invade Taiwan by 2027. Blinken, however, rejected the idea that China is providing lethal aid to Russia in its war against Ukraine. On the other hand, Taiwan is also losing some of its diplomatic allies. Honduras has said that it will begin establishing ties with Beijing instead of Taiwan. Honduras's reaction comes after Taiwan did not respond to its request to double its annual aid to $100 million. With this, there are now only 13 countries which actively back Taiwan against China. For more on this, we are joined by John Irith, Senior Policy Director for the Center for Arms Control and Non-Proliferation. He's joining us live from Washington, D.C. John, thank you so much for joining us on WION. You know, there is growing concern that while the United States and NATO have managed thus far to stay united in their support for Ukraine in Russia's invasion of Ukraine, moving forward, there are many countries that are split right now, not because they support Russia's invasion of Ukraine, but geopolitically, they're concerned about what's going to happen in the future and which side they're going to take.
I think Secretary Blinken had it right when he said that countries and governments all over the world are watching carefully to see what happens. What Russia is doing is trying to alter a situation to its advantage through the use of military force. So what the Ukraine conflict will ultimately be is a test for whether military force remains a viable tool in which governments can try to change the positions and actions of other governments that they do not like. Obviously, we would like to see a world where military force is not the first resort, but the last resort for settling disputes between governments. But that's what Russia is testing out right now. And other governments, including China, are paying very close attention.
And how concerning is this alliance between China and Russia? And what more can the United States do at this point?
At this point, the Russia-China partnership is one of convenience primarily. They share certain interests, one of which is that they don't want to see NATO countries be perceived as successful. They want to be able to offer what they would consider an alternative to the leadership of NATO in the West. They also want to be able to keep that military tool as a prominent one, because that's one of the main options that Russia in particular has. I don't think China is preparing to invade Taiwan in the next few days or weeks or even years, but they certainly want to maintain the possibility of military action as a coercive tool to keep Taiwan from declaring independence, to keep Taiwan from behaving in too independent a fashion. They want to keep that threat available for potential use should times come to it.
Well, we'll be watching very closely. Thank you so much for that analysis, and thank you for joining us on WION.
You're very welcome.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.